Good morning. Jim,
Morning, Neil.
can you hear me all right?
I can hear you now, Neil. Yeah.
All right, let me just see if I can clean this line up a little bit.
Sure.
Now, you had a confrontation with an organisation called the English Defence League. Who are they?
Well, I wouldn't say I had a confrontation.
Well, you tell me the story then. Let me know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got a message on Friday morning to say that to Tommy Robinson, who's the founder member of the English Defence League, was speaking at an event in the Commons in Cork.
What do we know of the English Defence League, please?
The English Defence League are a far-right grouping who are particularly anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim, and at various times they've been anti-Irish also, basically anti-minority based in Britain. And Tommy Robinson is the founder member. He is no longer a member, I believe, but is still active as a far-right activist, to be honest with you.
And what was he doing on Leeside?
At the time I didn't know, only that he was that there was a press conference and with a view to setting up a far-right group in Ireland. That's what I heard. I called the Commons in to protest against somebody like that being allowed to speak there. Apparently they had got a lot of other calls. I didn't get through to the management there. I found out not long after that the meeting had been moved from the Commons into Blarney, to Christie's Hotel in Blarney. I went to Christie's Hotel in Blarney. Two friends of mine were there before me. They told me they'd been harassed by a group of people who were in the company of Tommy Robinson. I went in and complained to the management that the meeting was happening. They told me that they weren't happy with the meeting, but they had already committed to it and were going ahead with it.
Yeah, did it go ahead?
I walked into the press conference. It said it was a press conference, even though it was sparsely attended. I walked in. I was approached by a guy who put his hands up and pushed me in the chest and told me to leave. And then I was verbally abused by another guy who told me to F off and a few other choice phrases. I had no intention of sitting in the press conference anyway, to be honest with you, because these people just spoke bile as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, let me just stop you. Just pick you up on a couple of things there. Were there any members of the press there?
I saw a camera crew. I saw what seemed to be a press crew, as in cameraman and a guy taking notes, who looked familiar, but I wasn't sure who he was. But,
Yeah.
That's the only press presence that I was sure of.
And did you say anything at the press conference? Did you try and interject or interrupt?
No, because I was, as I say, I was pushed by one of these guys, and then I was threatened by another. Well, I was verbally abused by the other guy, and I wouldn't normally sit and listen to Tommy Robinson or his ilk, to be quite honest with you.
And the people that pushed you or shouted at you, were they Irish? Were they Cork or were they British?
I believe they were Irish.
Did they have a Cork accent?
Yes. Well, one guy had, the other guy who verbally abused me had a British accent, but I believe I'm familiar with the guy, and I believe he lives in the Cork area.
Okay, so what is their message? Is their message that, say, the UK or Ireland should be only for the Irish, that there should be no religious tolerance, that there should be no migrants or refugees or even people not of our own skin colour? Is that what it's all about?
Well, that's what the message of the EDL and their types would be in Britain, and that's why I was very concerned that they were allowed to speak in Cork. Now, I didn't know that this had been organised by Identity Ireland.
Yeah.
It became obvious when I walked in there that
Identity Ireland are running a candidate by the name of Peter O'Loughlin in Cork North Central.
who was at the table also.
Does that make him a sympathiser of the English Defence League?
Well, he's a sympathiser of a group called Pegida, who are a far-right group that are establishing across Europe, and apparently they're trying to launch in Ireland next Saturday in Dublin, and there's a counter-demonstration being organised by anti-fascist groups that will take place in Dublin next Saturday, and I believe they announced that a Pegida launch was happening. I believe they announced that last Saturday.
All right, now I need to talk to Peter O'Loughlin then. I need to get him on the phone and see what it's all about. Would you describe them as neo-Nazis?
I would describe the likes of Tommy Robinson and the people the BNP type people, the British Nationalist Party. I would describe them as neo-Nazi type of ideology, yes. And I'm not sure of where Identity Ireland come from, but I believe they're playing into the fact that people are disaffected around the political and economic situation in Ireland at the moment, and they are unhappy with our attitude to immigration, etc.
They're unhappy with our tolerance of it, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what they see as our tolerance of it, what they see as, I believe Peter O'Loughlin has spoken about mass migration by Muslims and radical Islam and that type of stuff.
Do you have any, I don't have much time left now, but do you have any problem about mass migration of Muslims and radicalization of the faith here?
I would have problems around anybody who would be talking about radicalisation around violence. But I don't see any particular problem with mass migration of Muslims. I don't think there is any mass migration of Muslims at the moment, and I don't think putting people into categories because of their religion is very helpful either.
Yeah. Okay.
All types of migrants.
All right. Well, listen. Fair play to you for having the courage of your conviction, and indeed just the courage to go to that press conference and to stand up and be counted. If I manage to get in touch with Peter O'Loughlin, I'll call you back. Is that all right, Jim?
That's okay, Neil. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Cheers for now.
Okay. Thank you.
Lines open. Another opportunity to do that between now to more serious matters. Earlier on this morning, I spoke to Jim O'Connell, and actually, Jim is running in Cork South Central, part of the People Before Profit campaign, and he went along to a meeting of the English Defence League. I think originally they were supposed to have the meeting in the Commons, and that got cancelled, and they moved to Christie's in Blarney. And Jim travelled out there because he doesn't like what they represent, the organisation known as the English Defence League, and he doesn't want them in Cork, and he doesn't want their thoughts or their beliefs to be peddled here on Leeside. And he mentioned a man by the name of Peter O'Loughlin, who's running in Cork North Central. He's the co-founder of Identity Ireland. And there may well be, and he may well correct me if there's not, there may well be a connection between Identity Ireland and the English Defence League. Let's find out, because we have Peter O'Loughlin by phone. Peter, good morning.
Good morning, Neil. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Can you just enlighten me there? Is there a connection, and if so, what?
Well, no, actually it's quite impossible to have a connection because Tommy Robinson, who we hosted on Friday, has been out of the English Defence League for a number of years. So, I mean, he has nothing to do with the English Defence League. This had nothing to do with the English Defence League. And to be quite honest, I find it strange that that's even been brought up at all. I'm not sure whether it was Jim McConnell, is it? O'Connell, who mentioned the English Defence League, but Tommy has nothing to do with that. Now, Tommy is...
It doesn't have anything to do with it anymore.
No, not anymore. And the reason he left it was when Tommy set up the English Defence League, it was a reaction to what was happening in his hometown of Luton, which had major problems with Islamic radicalism and extremism, which was a very big growing problem. And of course, Tommy, he was around, I think, maybe 26 at the time. He set up the English Defence League as a reaction to that, and unfortunately, many extreme right-wing organisations attempted to hijack the English Defence League, and unfortunately they managed to. And Tommy left the English Defence League as a result. And since then, Tommy has, he's moved away from the English Defence League quite a while ago. That's very well documented. And at the moment, he's actually he's coordinating the UK branch of PEGIDA. I'm not sure if you've heard of...
What does that stand for?
PEGIDA stands for Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the Occident.
So that's anti-Muslim then?
No, not anti-Muslim, not at all. It's anti-radicalism, anti-extremism. It's a movement which originally originated in Dresden, in Germany. They're quite well known in Germany. They've gotten reactions from the likes of Merkel and Schäuble, who continuously attack them. And
why? Because are they Nazi sympathizers?
No, not in the slightest. I was actually over there I was over there on the 4th of January and spoke to them, to 10,000 people in Dresden. And I mean, anybody who wants to describe them as extremists or not too sympathizing anyway, I advise you to go over there and see the type of people you're dealing with. We're just dealing with ordinary people. In fact, again, every movement which tries to express themselves on the street, which don't see their political class reacting to their very real concerns, is in danger of being hijacked. And unfortunately, the EDL was hijacked.
English Defence League, and he left, of course, because of that. It just got too radical for him. What was the meeting that was held in Blarney? Who set up that meeting? Under what banner?
We set up that meeting, and the most important thing about that meeting was that we signed a document, and that document was a commitment to a pan-European alliance which is taking place at this moment in time, which covers 15 countries right across Europe. And I mean, it covers organizations from 15 different countries. And I mean, we're signed up to that, Identity Ireland are. And if you look at who's involved in that, you have like the Czech group who are supported by the Czech president, who has spoken at their rallies, who's come out very strongly in defense of the Czech nation against radicalism, but also against the European Union, very much pro-sovereignty. And all the groups involved in that are very much part of that. Now, people may try to describe it as somehow anti-Islamic, but
the very word Identity Ireland kind of does that in itself, doesn't it?
No, not really. No, not at all. I mean, identity is the very basis of, it's the foundational basis of all nations. I mean, our identity is our identity. We're Irish, therefore we live in the Irish nation. Every single nation all over the world has an identity. China, the Chinese, Australia, the Australians, Japan, Japan.
But do you want limits on that? You don't want it diluted? Is that what it is?
No, it's not about that. It's about it's about very basic societal structures. I mean, for example, border control is just standard. I mean, every single nation throughout history has border control. It's just a very basic, normal thing. But we live in such a mad time with such crazy leaders that we think border control is something wrong. And I mean, all you get then is, instead of a filter system, for example, where you decide who comes into your country, who they are, which is every nation's right, which is what happens to Irish people when they go to Canada or Australia.
Yeah, because they're outside of the European Union. But for you to have border identity in Europe would be like having border identity between the states in America. You know?
No, it's not the same thing in the slightest. I mean,
no, it is exactly the same thing.
No, it's not.
The European Union under Schengen allows for free movement of members of the European Union between states.
Yeah, and that's a mistake. I mean, America is a federal state. Germany is a federal state. And they're trying to create a European federal state. But unfortunately, it doesn't work.
So you're saying that an Irish person shouldn't be able to work in France and a German shouldn't be able to work in England, kind of thing?
Of course they should. But I mean, all you have to do is go through border controls, visa systems, very straightforward stuff to know who is...
That I would need a visa application to go to the UK?
Well, you see, you make bilateral border agreements.
But why do you want to do that? I mean, why do you want to stop me going to another country in Europe? Like, who are you really trying to stop? Is it black people? Is it Muslims?
Oh, come on, man. Come on. Are you for real?
I am for real.
Did you actually just say that?
Yeah, I mean...
actually just make that suggestion?
Yeah, I'm asking you, who are you trying to stop?
I'm not trying
if it's
to
not...
stop
Wait a
anybody.
second now. Hold on a second. If it's not
You
me...
hold on a second.
No, let me ask you the question. If it's not me with an with an Irish passport that you want to get a visa to go to another country, who is it you want to stop if it's not me?
You don't want to stop. You don't. I don't think you quite understand. First of all, you made the insinuation, without saying the word racist, you made that insinuation by mentioning black people. I don't know why you did that, but you did it. That was your choice. Completely and utterly, I know. Just
You've got an issue with that. I'm trying to find out.
Very big. It doesn't matter. Skin color and things like that don't matter. It's about controlling your borders. It's deciding whether you decide on who comes into your country. I mean, we've had hundreds of thousands of people leave this country over the last number of years.
But I'm trying to find out who do you want to control from coming into this country?
But there is no from. We're not trying to control from anybody. We have the sovereign right to control our borders. And when you have hundreds of thousands of Irish people leaving, and you have hundreds of thousands coming in over the course of a number of years, that's just madness.
But there are
You want to stop anybody? That's just stupid.
you don't want to stop anybody. You just want to have a process at the point of entry.
Well, of course. I mean, that's just common sense.
But why?
What do you mean? Why?
Yeah.
Because, as I said, it's just common sense.
But
I mean,
therefore, who would you be not allowing to come in?
you don't allow who you don't want to come in. For example, if you have a situation where you have border control, people want to come into your country, why? You know, how many? Why? What jobs can you do that are not capable of being done by Irish people? Do you have a criminal record? Do you have other things? We don't check these things. That's a very stupid thing to do. And I mean, it's been proven beyond doubt, the most apparently tolerant, they like to call themselves tolerant, which is the Swedish nation. They've been engaging in crazy mass immigration policies for God knows how long.
No, okay, we're getting places.
No, if I can just finish
No,
this point.
this is good, because
they took in, if I can just finish this point, they took in 160,000 people as a result of Merkel's open border policies. Now they want to send home 80,000.
Now you're talking. Now you're honing in on refugees.
No, they're not refugees.
Where are they from?
The vast majority are proven to be economic migrants.
No, I'm saying you're talking about. Are you talking about recently under the guise of refugees?
Well, under the guise, yes, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. So now, okay.
That's the phrases which have been used.
So
I mean,
okay, you don't want economic No, this is fine. I mean, I'm getting an answer to my question. You don't want economic migrants coming into Ireland either under the guise of a refugee or not, who could take a job that was being done or could be done by an Irish person.
well, of course not. I mean, that's
Okay, no, that's good. No, this is good. Now I have 1 point. This is excellent. And the other one is you don't want people who are murderers or rapists or paedophiles and convicted track records in other countries coming in here unprocessed.
Oh, of course not. Nobody
Okay,
wants that.
all right. Okay, I'm getting to understand where you're coming from now. Let me bring in, at this point, Jim O'Connell, because he made the original point. Jim, are you a little bit clearer now?
A bit clearer to the extent that what Peter seems to be talking about is reinstituting border controls. I'm just wondering if...
Because he doesn't want migrants coming in here who cannot support themselves, who would be a burden to the state, who could be taking jobs that could be done by Irish people. It actually reminds me of the debate that's going on right now in Downing Street, where Cameron wants to pass a law straight away that precludes migrants coming into the UK from claiming dole for a period of 3 years, in the sense that he's saying, if you come here, you got to be able to support yourself for the first 3 years.
Yeah, can I just back up a bit there?
No, I know that. I'm just making.
The point that was made was about people coming in here who have, a criminal past. Now, if the sort of border controls that Peter was talking about were imposed here tomorrow morning, I don't think we would probably have that problem with that meeting on Friday, because Tommy Robinson would not have been allowed in with his criminal record. Am I right in assuming that?
What was his criminal record?
I believe he has quite a list of criminal records, one including an assault.
But hang on a second now. You're telling me something I don't know. Don't tell me you believe. Tell me you know, or else don't say it at all.
Well, it's documented, and I spoke to your researcher earlier about it, and that.
Okay. Did you want to pick up on that, Peter?
Yeah, I did actually. It's quite interesting. People try to use this. For example, Tommy was accused of a charge of assault, which was dropped. And then after he launched Pegida UK, he was rearrested for the charge, which was dropped.
So he has no criminal record?
No, it's not that he... I to be honest, I don't know Tommy's absolute history in terms of that, but I do know it's very clear, and you can see video of this actually straight up, that there is political policing going on. And I would stand by that completely and utterly 100%.
There's what?
There's political policing.
Political beatings?
Policing.
Policing?
Yeah, for example, if you go online, I don't know what exactly you have to type into YouTube at this point in time, but Tommy was going down along with a group of his supporters, and they were attacked by, open border extremists, and the police turned around and basically threatened to actually arrest Tommy because of it.
Yeah, but you know what I've always found, whether it's with, I'm not including you in this in case you get up in a heap over it, but when you hear of, organizations like his and others like it, they really are kind of fascists or neo-Nazis, or very right-wing, or they're the National Front in disguise, They hate anyone that's not white, or they hate anyone that's not British, and they will go to any lengths to either get them out of the country or to inflict violence upon them,
Yeah, but groups like that exist. Like, I know that, you know that. But I mean, that's not Tommy. It certainly isn't. And I mean, look, for example, watch his Oxford Union address, and you'll get a very good example of what, or you basically get to see what he's all about. Even watch the video on our Facebook page of myself and Tommy at the conference. And Tommy spoke, and he spoke very well, and you get an idea of what he's about.
Tommy Robinson has a criminal record that involves being convicted for drug offences, being convicted in 2005 of assault, being involved in a fight between supporters of Luton Town and Newport County on the evening the two clubs played. He was arrested after a demonstration in 2011 because he broke bail conditions and had been banned from attending demonstrations. He began a hunger strike, saying that he was a political prisoner refusing to eat.
Which he was.
He was arrested and convicted in relation to travelling to the US. I don't know why he was arrested. Maybe he wasn't supposed to fly to the US. There was some maybe restrictions on his passport. In 2012, he was charged with 3 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud by misrepresenting a mortgage application. Did you know of all of these things?
I had heard about the mortgage fraud. I had heard about that. And to be honest, I know myself that these were very much trumped-up charges. I mean, look, for example, I'll give you an example with the mortgage issue. When Tommy was sent to prison, which he was, I don't deny that, he was put into the wing, which was predominantly Muslim.
And he got beaten up, he alleges, by Muslims.
And he was, but that was due. That was to shut him up. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, the problem for the establishment with Tommy is that Tommy speaks very well. He was extraordinarily straightforward, extraordinarily honest.
Does he not like Muslims?
Sorry?
Does he not like Muslims?
No, it's not Muslim. You can talk to, again, watch our videos, talk to him, find out about him, because he has no problem with Muslims. It's with the Islamic ideology, the radical form of Islam, which is impacting his own town. I mean, look, you can go online.
Okay, and how does that...
Can I come in again,
No,
Dave?
yeah, fair enough. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah. How does that... Go ahead, Jim. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, the organisation that both Tommy Robinson and Peter are promoting, the Pegida organisation, I mean, look, the guy who founded this is a convicted burglar. I mean,
what?
We're talking about people with criminal records again here. I mean, Pegida is a hate group as far as I'm concerned. That's what they're about. They're trying to establish in Ireland at the moment. No, they're trying to launch next Saturday in Ireland, I believe, in Dublin, and I believe there's going to be a counter demonstration organised against it, and I would be encouraging a lot of people to go along to that.
Why do you ask him, is he on meds? Are you saying that he's not accurate in what he's saying?
Murder. He said that the guy who founded Pegida was a Speckman. He said he was a convicted murderer.
I said a convicted burglar.
Burglar.
Oh, burglar. Okay.
How easily we...
Lutz Bachmann is a 41-year-old convicted burglar. And he has recently posted a picture of himself on Facebook masquerading as Hitler with complete moustache and funny hairstyle.
You say that the Hitler photograph was photoshopped?
It was. That's been proven. Lutz Bachmann had to step down because of that picture.
And are you associated with organisations like this who have their photos photoshopped?
Sorry?
Are you associated with these people who have their photos photoshopped?
Well, I'm associated with Pegida. I spoke on the rise, and I'm not associated with people who Photoshop those photos.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the Irish Examiner is carrying that photograph on their edition of the 23rd of January 2015. and it's still up online. If it's photoshopped, you should probably complain to them since you're such a supporter of the Geathers.
Well, they've dealt with this in Germany very extensively.
Anyway, he doesn't have a problem per se, but he has a problem with fundamental extremists coming into Ireland, or he has a problem with Ireland becoming a breeding ground for ISIS terrorists or for people who may wish to take over our culture 100%. He has a problem with people who have come in here with serious criminal convictions, and he has a problem with mass migration that takes jobs away from Irish people. That sums up his beliefs, Jim.
Yeah, that's.
What's wrong with all of that?
Well, I believe that the action around at the moment is designed to stoke up fear and hatred between communities. I believe these type of meetings that are happening at the moment are trying to cash in on the disaffection of people who are suffering economically and at the moment because of the government's policies. And I believe that these people are trying to cash in on this in order to get support for, they're trying to blame migrants for the problems we have here at the moment.
All right, let him respond.
Any of the problems are caused by migrants.
No, how dare you? You know what? How dare you? How dare you with your beliefs, with your open border beliefs, which are attacking decent Irish people, and how dare you try to make those out to be some form of hatred? We are in an extraordinarily difficult position at the moment. Extraordinary. We don't even debate these issues. And yet we have fools like you coming onto the radio trying to make out that people are some form of fascist or racist or hate mongers. We like our country. Not only do we like it, we love it. We don't like to see it attacked.
Do you like all the people who live in the country, yeah?
What is clearly happening in Europe, happening in Ireland. Anybody who tries to deny what is happening in Europe is a fool. A fool and an idiot. That's all they are.
That Europe is being overrun by Islam, is it?
But it's not necessarily. Islam has become a major problem in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's clear. I'm not even going to debate that issue.
Yeah.
I won't debate that issue. But not only that, but the economic migratory tactics, which were bad enough before Merkel opened the border, I mean, these are insane. They're insane. They are insane policies. And of course, they won't even back down. Merkel is still going, yes, we can. Despite the fact that in Germany, 600,000 of the 1.1 million migrants have disappeared. Never mind the clone attack.
There doesn't seem to be much of a problem for Ireland because there's hardly any take-up.
Every problem that happens in Europe eventually comes to Ireland. Well, you're only fortunate in the fact that we have an opportunity to try to prevent it from coming your way.
You know, I will come back to this. I won't have much time now, but you know that Jim O'Connell was confronted and pushed when he went to your meeting?
Pushed? He wasn't pushed.
He was, and he was...
I was pushed. And you were present in the room, Peter. You saw it. It was also recorded by some people on camera.
Hang on a second, lads. One at a time. You said you had something caught on camera, Peter, is it?
No, I was just saying, is this the same Jim O'Connell when the documentary crew who were there covering it asked Jim and who was with him to actually come into the room and debate us on camera, and he refused? Is that the same Jim O'Connell I'm talking to? Who wouldn't debate us one-on-one in front of a camera?
Is that right, Jim?
I would not debate Peter O'Loughlin at that particular venue, no.
Why?
Because it was a platform for Tommy Robinson.
But
I made it clear that I wouldn't speak to Peter O'Loughlin anytime and anywhere, but not at a particular venue at that time, because all it was a platform for Tommy.
Well, he's talking to you now, Peter, and was he pushed or name called?
I was.
Name called? No. I mean, the lad came in. I mean, it was a private meeting, first of all. And we have to do private meetings. Unfortunately, we have to keep everything under wrap because when we hold meetings, people attack us.
Can I come in?
It happened before. It happened at our press conference at our launch. It happened at our first public meeting. 60-50 in the first press conference came in and shut us down.
Can I come in?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Yeah, I'm going to run out of time. Go on.
I walked into that press conference room. I was approached by somebody who just described as a heavy, who pushed me. Said was I press as he was pushing me and told me to get out. I was then verbally...
A heavy who asked him was he pressed pushed him out of the room, he said.
He did not. He sat down in a chair.
Push me out of the room.
He sat down. He came in. A guy was like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And Jim just stood there, basically like, and just sat down.
There, yeah.
And we didn't kick him. We didn't even kick him out. We probably should have kicked him out.
What names were you called? Do you recall what they said to you?
I recall what particular guy said to me. He said, shut the F up. He told me to F off.
And did he laid it?
And this was a big, aggressive guy who said, who's I've
you out of the room.
seen before around these things.
Right,
Very
okay.
big, aggressive guy who allows you to just sit down and stay for the press conference. Very aggressive there.
Well, the other guy pushed me, and
I mean,
if
these
you see
guys,
where
they
the
come in,
documentary
they
when they were showed
hijack
us
all
on
our
film,
meetings. They've attacked us. They've attacked us. Literally.
I attacked nobody.
Who are they?
They, AFA, Anti-Fascist Action, and
I am
all
not a
their-
member of Anti-Fascist
They're all
Action.
interlinked.
I'm a member
Everything
of-
But surely be to God, we need. Well, surely we. Not saying that you're fascist. I'm out of time. But surely, if there are fascists, we need people who are anti-fascists.
But they are the fascists. That's the whole point.
Right.
They shut down free speech. They attack people who they don't like. That is fascism. That's what it is. How are we?
I think Peter has demonstrated very well today who actually are the fascists.
All right, listen. I'm going to come back to it. I promise you both I will, and others besides. I need to move on now, though, or I'll run way over time. Thank you for now, Peter O'Loughlin, co-founder of Identity Ireland. Jim O'Connell is running in Cork South Central. That is beside the point, but I need to acknowledge that he is. For people before profit. Your thoughts on this are welcome, particularly if you want to get involved, maybe by email. Email Neil at redfm.